Okay. Okay. I start now? Hi, everyone. On behalf of SOS Children's Villages International, it is my pleasure to welcome you to this side event, Youth Employability at Scale, Partnerships for Systemic Change, on the margins of the UN High-Level Political Forum. We're very grateful to have as co-sponsors today the Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, BMZ, from the Republic of Germany, along with the International Labor Organization. I would also like to acknowledge people joining us online from all over the world. Welcome to you as well. So today's event will be a multi-stakeholder and intergenerational dialogue on how we can scale up pathways to skills, decent work, employment, and entrepreneurship for young people in vulnerable circumstances. Just to tell you a little bit more about SOS Children's Villages, we're the world's largest organization working with children and young people without adequate parental care or at risk of losing it, and we're active across more than 130 countries, reaching millions of people worldwide each year, including children, young people, families, and communities. So why are we here today at the HLPF? HLPF each year reviews SDG 17 on partnerships, and we recognize the need for stronger partnerships to support youth skills, employability, entrepreneurship, and decent work. And today, we're going to hear directly from young people themselves and understand the challenges they're facing in accessing employment. We're going to hear about partnership models that work and hear from partners and young people on their work and recommendations for how we can scale up employment opportunities and discuss how we can all collectively ensure that young people, through stronger collaboration, have more effective employment opportunities. Now I would like to hand it over for our opening remarks, Ms. Constance Neher. She's the Director of Global Issues and Trends, Poverty and Inequality, the Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, BMZ. I hand it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Nilay, for the very warm welcoming. Good afternoon, everyone. For me, it's an honor to be with you in this important side event of the HLPF conference and to be with you on behalf of the German government, namely the German Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, in short, BMZ. And maybe let me begin with a key message that I have taken from the first 3 days of the HL High-Level Political Forum conference. Youth matters and youth is the future was a message I heard several times. Because we cannot discuss the SDGs and beyond without youth. Youth being the next to future generations, and in many countries of the world, the majority of the population, although not in Europe where I live. Maybe just to give you a concrete example, in a meeting we had yesterday, the government representative of Senegal, who together with the United Arab Emirates will host the UN Water Conference in December in Abu Dhabi, was very clear on that. We cannot discuss water as a fundamental catalyst to achieve sustainable development without the young people. And in the same meeting, a youth representative from the United States made clear that meaningful youth participation needs structures and financing. Germany therefore advocates for youth participation in international processes. For instance, we provide financing for youth representatives during the HLPF conferences for several years, and we will discuss how to meaningfully support youth participation in the upcoming UN Water Conference, just to give an example. But Germany does not only advocate for youth participation at home, abroad, but at home as well. Because within our own ministry, we kind of changed our mindset some years ago. And we realized that we must not talk about young people, but with young people as partners for the future. And we established a youth advisory board within the ministry. And by establishing this youth advisory board, we responded to a demand from young people and from German civil society. And I suppose that SOS was amongst them. And they demanded us for a permanent participation mechanism for young people within German development cooperation. And let me assure you as well that our current minister, Reem Alabali Radovan, Due to her own life story, she's the youngest member in the German government and child of a refugee family, strongly stands and supports children's and youth rights. And maybe, as I mentioned earlier, young people constitute the majority of the population of many countries in the so-called Global South. And we have seen tangible progress, just to name one SDG and SDG 4 in primary and secondary education. But in many countries, we face a kind of school to work gap. And just to cite a very well-known source with the World Bank predicts that approximately 1.2 billion young people in the Global South will reach working age and enter the labor market in the next 10 years. So into a labor market that is disrupted by AI, climate change, and multiple conflicts. Therefore, Germany focuses on equipping this largest youth generation ever with future-proof skills through practical training and partnerships with civil society and the private sector. Businesses need skilled workers, and they best know about the skills they need. This is why Germany supports its partner countries in building partnerships with civil society, businesses, chambers of commerce, trade associations, trade unions for youth skills. And it is precisely in this area that we can build on a strong collaboration and partnership with SOS Children's Villages, including our concrete youth support for the Youth Can Employability and Entrepreneurship project in Uganda, just to name an example. The project was a great example, I think, of multi-stakeholder engagement, working together to support young people's transition into employment and self-reliance. I also want to highlight the close collaboration of SOS Children's Villages with some other partnerships we work with GIZ. And maybe to come back to my water example, just to end with a concrete life story in the water sector that has stuck with me over the last days. A young Kenyan woman participated in an employability training offered by the GZ implemented Stronger Coalition for Water, and she managed in a short period of time to take over a crucial position at a decision-making level in a Kenyan utility. There are tangible stories, and we need more and have to work even stronger and meaningful and broad coalition. And now to conclude, I'm really looking forward to listening to all of you, and especially to Liz and Adi, the young voices, to hear about their challenges and solutions maybe as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Nair. Now I give it over to our second co-sponsor, ILO, Ms. Cynthia Samuel Olonjuwon. She's the Special Representative to the UN. Please, we have the floor.
Thank you so very much, and it's really wonderful to be here. And this is not diplomatic speaker. It's really wonderful to be here. And thanks for the introductory remarks from Ms. Nair from BNZ. And congratulations again to you on your appointment. Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, young leaders, friends, known friends, and new friends. Young people experience very different realities when they enter the labor market. We already had a bit of that. And this is shaped by where they live and their personal circumstances. The most recent ILO estimates tell a very sobering story. Youth unemployment is rising again. There is a sentiment, which is now backed by data, that young people are really struggling to find jobs, particularly the jobs that match their experiences, their qualifications, but also their expectations. And unemployment is only the tip of the iceberg. Globally, 1 in 5 young people are not in employment, not in education, and not in training, the so-called NEET category. But behind the statistics are young people whose potentials are going unrealized. But there's also a worrying gender dimension. Young women are 3 times more likely than young men to be in the NEET group. Even when young people find work, it's often temporary, low paid, and informal. But it's not all gloom. There are some very positive developments. And when I looked at the pictures here, I was really very heartened because what I saw, which is a reflection of what I see in real life, is hope, is determination, is commitment, is the willingness to break the barriers. For young people in vulnerable situations, such as those without adequate parental care, the barriers are further compounded through the disruption of education, fewer safety nets, and limited access to the networks that often smooth the pathway into work. We have to take action, and we have to take action quickly, and we have to take action at scale. Hence the relevance of the conversation that we're having here today. It's not just talk. It has to move the needle. And it has to be followed up with concrete action. And we'll put 3 issues on the table from the perspectives of the ILO. First, we need to boost job creation for young people. And this means investing in sectors with strong employment potentials, including the green, the digital, and the care economies. In working with the private sector to open its doors wider to young people. It's critical to ensure that technological innovation goes hand in hand with decent work. And this is in line with the principles of the recently adopted landmark ILO Convention 193, and this is the Convention on Decent Work in the Platform Economy. Integrated measures such as the European Union's Youth Guarantee demonstrates what can be done very concretely. Such schemes ensure that no young person is left without a pathway to decent work. And it does this by committing to quality offer for every young person, notably a job, continued education, apprenticeship, or traineeship. So that's the first. The second, we need to safeguard the rights of young people at work. Fair wages, a safe and healthy workplace, access to social protection. These are essential, they're fundamental, not only to preventing exploitation, but to upholding dignity, basic dignity at work. This matters particularly for young caregivers who are often at greater risk of insecure work. In this regard, the ILO Work-Wise Youth is an excellent guide that helps to raise young people's awareness of their rights at work. The third, multi-stakeholder partnership is key. Indeed, crucial. There can be no progress, I repeat, there can be no progress on addressing youth employment or on advancing on the global commitments that have been outlined in the SDGs or the Doha Political Declaration that is the outcome of the Second World Summit for Social Development, if we don't have effective and real results-focused partnerships. Collaborations across governments, and it's good we have Germany effectively represented here, workers and employers organizations, civil society, international organizations, and young people themselves is essential to deliver holistic support for youth. And we're already seeing the impact of some of these joint efforts. I'll highlight 3 that the ILO is involved with. The Prospects Partnership is one very good example that brings together the ILO, the International Finance Corporation, UNHCR, UNICEF, and the World Bank to work together in an effort to expand employment opportunities for forcibly displaced youth across the Middle East and Africa, largely Eastern Africa. So that's the first example. The second example is the Green Jobs for Youth Pact, which is led by the ILO and UNICEF, and it equips young people with green skills and boosts green jobs. And it really was wonderful to talk with Mark yesterday about the great initiative from Canada. And the third example is the UN Global Initiative on Decent Jobs for Youth, which unites more than 100 partners to scale, emphasis on scale up action on youth employment. And we're really proud that SOS Children's Villages International is a core partner. As I close, friends, colleagues, it's against this background that I really look forward to this conversation on how we can build strong multi-stakeholder partnerships that work not just for youth, but with young people as equal partners. Let's ensure that our efforts match the scale of the challenge, and the challenge is humongous. But the opportunity is really much greater than the challenge. So we must work to ensure that our efforts match the scale of the challenge, but that they're also grounded in evidence. And it puts young people not just at the table, but in the leadership of the engagement. I assure you that the ILO remains fully committed to ensuring that young people everywhere have access to decent work every time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cynthia Samuel Olonjuwon, and thank you again to both of the co-sponsors for the opening remarks. I would now like to give the floor to Mr. Martin Schmidt. He's a Senior Manager of Employability and Entrepreneurship of SOS Children's Villages. He's going to give a brief overview of our Youth Can initiative on youth employability and entrepreneurship. Over to you.
Sorry for that, I was hiding my laptop here behind the screen. And maybe I break protocol, Nilay, if I take out that microphone and do it a little bit more youthful, interactive. So hello everyone, my name is Martin. Nilay already introduced myself. I work for SOS Children's Villages International. And I'm currently overlooking a portfolio of different programs for youth employability entrepreneurship. Among those programs is also Youth Can that we're going to talk a bit more about today. Good. So I brought a couple of slides, and Cynthia, I'm looking at you because I'm kind of repeating what you have just mentioned. I just wanted to also create some awareness about the global challenge of youth unemployment and reiterate some figures that you actually already did mention. So in the latest reports, we see that 20% of young people globally are neither in employment, education, or training. This is the so famous NEET rate. 20% doesn't seem as impressive as 260 million young people worldwide that this 20% actually represent. Out of that figure, we have, or not out of this figure, but out of the total a number of young people in this world, there are around 12% that are not in employment, so unemployed. So this accounts for approximately 160 million young people. What we do not see in this figure though, and this is also something that I think is very important for the ILO, is that many young people, even though they may be in employment, are not in decent employment. Cynthia highlighted to us yesterday, there are still countries where the informality rate is above 90%. And especially for young women in some countries, this informality rate can reach up to 95%. So employment doesn't equal decent work. This is very important to mention. At the same time, and I also included this figure here, it's from the latest SDG progress report, we see that many of the SDG targets, we're not on track of achieving them by 2030. So this is, of course, not a surprise, I think, to many in this room. But what I want to actually reiterate also by showing this figure shortly is that we need to continue and enhance our efforts on the SDGs in general, but especially on the so important topic of youth employment. Good. So these were general figures. And I don't want to be too negative, but I want to talk shortly about the SOS Children's Villages target group. So we're talking about children and young people. Today we're talking about young people that either lost adequate parental care or are at risk of losing it. This target group is especially vulnerable in their transition to work. They face very special and unique challenges in terms of their transition to employment. And I'm not going to talk too much about this because we actually have Liz and Adi with us today that can also tell you a bit more about it. However, I want to talk about YouthCan right now. YouthCan is SOS Children's Villages global flagship employability entrepreneurship program that we have created a couple of years ago that aims to specifically solve this challenge of youth unemployment for the SOS Children's Villages target group. We gathered a lot of experience over the past years. We have created methodologies and approaches that I think are quite innovative. So we have identified the different phases that young people walk through on the path to self-reliance. We have identified specific challenges that young people are facing, and we have built a very unique partnership model, and I want to highlight this here. We're collaborating, especially with partners from the private sector, and we're having the great pleasure to also, for example, have our partners from the HL Group in here today. Also the logo represented next to me, who are one of our long-standing partners that actually have built this approach together with us for years. But it doesn't stop here. We're working also a lot already with the public sector, trying to influence policies and scale up the approaches that we have developed. What makes YouthCan very special is that these partners come on board not only for funding, as it very often happens in this kind of NGO cross-sector collaboration, but actually the partners offer opportunities to the young people and they open doors. They bring networks, they bring mentoring training opportunities, and they bring job opportunities. And of course, they also open the doors for the young people to advocate for their rights and place their case in policy debates. And YouthCan, we also have some figures to present to you. In 2025, so these are the 2025 figures, we have reached approximately 30,000 young people globally through our direct impact and indirect reach, including also families that the young people work with and support, as well as the communities. We accumulate to approximately 120,000, let's say, participants in the program. We have implemented this approach across almost 50 countries, and we're working together with more than 350 partners. From private sector mostly, but more from the public sector and academia as well. Very important as well, I mentioned that before, especially the companies, they come with hands-on support. So we have a big number of volunteers that are also directly engaged in the program of delivering mentoring training to the young people. There's a QR code. We can also share the slides with you subsequently that links you to latest reports that also compiles and gives you more information. So, all right, so far to YouthCan. Now I want to make a little bit of a transition and bring us back to the purpose why we are meeting here today. In order to do so, I illustrated a brief graph here for you. This partnership model that I'm talking about, that is the basis, the foundation for YouthCan, has been first tested in 2010 between the HL Group and SOS Children's Villages very locally in Madagascar. Over the following years, this model has been scaled together with the HL Group across many countries. And in 2017, we decided we're going to create this umbrella called YouthCan, where we invite more partners to join and to replicate a similar model. Since then, we have implemented several evidence reports, ensuring that, of course, the work we do is also impactful for the young people, that confirm the impact. We've scaled up during the years of COVID-19 our digital impact. And by 2025, we have reached 30,000 young people across these 50 countries. That now sounds good, I guess, right? What we are also seeing here, though, is this is a very long timeline. We've started this in 2010, and we are now in 2025 at 30,000 young people. It's a good number. It's a lot of impact, But coming back to the global challenge that we are facing in terms of youth unemployment, we are far away of getting close to having a real systemic impact. Nevertheless, I want to reiterate that we have the great ambition to contribute to solve this global challenge. And we really have the ambition to work together with more partners and figure out together with you in the room and many other partners, possible partners, on how we could achieve to solve this challenge together. And this is also somewhat our question to you today, that we're going to come back a bit later once again. But what can we build together? We don't have an answer to that yet. We have been thinking about, is it necessary to create an initiative, an alliance for youth employment of young people in a very vulnerable situation? Are there existing initiatives or alliances that we would need to plug in and present the specific case of our target group? Which other solutions are out there that we could leverage and jointly scale up? This is an open question to us. We don't have the answers yet, but we are very glad that so many of you made it today to this event in person. You've seen this kindly weird setup already in the room. I guess you have recognized it. We have prepared everything for roundtable discussions. And also just mentioning for the live stream, we have quite some participants online. We have also ensured that you can contribute with your inputs online. We're going to come back to this a bit later, and Nila is going to explain the formats to us in detail. But before we go there, I'm very happy that I can tell you that we also want to now ask the young people, together with Khalila from DHL Group, here to this little stage that we have prepared, for a short fireside chat. Different format, it's not really a panel discussion. What we want to do is to give you an opportunity to understand a little bit better the unique challenges that young people like Hadi and Liz are facing when they grow into independence, and how partners, in this case DHL Group, come on board to support us. So Adi, Liz, Khalila, I welcome you to the stage. I'm also going to switch the screen off so all the attention is on you. Adi, you are now the boss for the first part, so I'm going to hand it over to you.
So thank you, Martin. So yes, hi everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. So yeah, I know the HYPL is kind of busy. Everyone is so busy, so rushed. But like, I hopefully you have a moment to advocate your issue and your concern. But before that, let me introduce myself. My name is Adi Soumena. I'm from Youth Council from SOSChildrensVillages International, and also I'm from Indonesia. And I'm currently a communication student back then in my home. And I just wanted to say that before those titles, I just someone that have been fighting in this issue a long time, since 14 years old. Like, it's one of my sister that bringing me to this field. So I advocating for the child protection, quality for education, and also meaningful youth participation, to the government, to the UN agency, to the international organization, to the private sector, like a DHL, and also to the civil society, like young people like us. And I think at Youth Council, we have a role. It's kind of simple to say, but it's hard to do. Actually, we advise, and we also try to push SOSChildrensVillages and also youth can program to be more inclusive, more participatory, and also more genuine youth center when it's come to the youth employability and also entrepreneurship program. So yes, I spend a lot of time in this system, like that I critique a lot. But so I internship in across NGO and also corporate, like for example, from DHL supply chains in Indonesia. And when I talk about the gap between the young people and also the corporate, say about what the corporate said and also about young people experience, I think I can say and also I can say in the both side. So now I'm wearing two hats. I'm not only moderating this conversation, but also I'm speaking. I wanted to share my experience also in this moment, because I think this topic isn't something that I can observe outside, but it is also something personal because it's not about a young people problem. It's also my problem. It's also my friend's problem in Indonesia. It's also maybe some of you problem, young people that now facing independence or like finding some job or creating some businesses. So yes, maybe let's get into it. So I have a question for Halila. How are you? Yes. So I have a question. Maybe you can briefly introduce yourself and tell us about your connection to the SOS Children Villages.
Thank you, Ari. Well, first of all, thank you very much for the invitation. For me, it's an honor, a real pleasure to be especially next to you, to young people. We have a lot to learn from you guys. And I'm especially very connected to this topic. My purpose in life is really to serve others. And I work for a company, DHL, that the mission is connect people and improve lives. So it's very related to what we're talking here tonight. And I've been in my role, I'm the CEO for Central and South America for DHL Express for the past 2 years, but I've been in DHL for 23 years. So I've been working in this initiative since it started in 2010. So I'm very connected. I was a volunteer first, and now I'm leading this as an ambassador for Aldeas SOS in Central America, and my purpose is to drive other leaders within the organization to connect to this initiative. We have tons and tons of hours invested in Aldeas SOS. When I said we have more than 20,000 hours, more than 3,700 volunteers participating in Americas. In Aldeas, right now, we have 33 people from Aldeas SOS working in DHL. I'm very proud about that. That partnership has worked very well. And one of the best resources I have and that I consult every month for the results is a guy that came from Aldeas SOS. He's my commercial analyst, and he is really, really performing very well. So I truly believe that when you give the opportunity to young people, they will pay you back. They will pay you back in many ways, And when you invest in young people, you're not only investing in them, it's a domino effect that goes to their communities, to the world in general. So it is very close to my heart, as I said before, and this is the experience so far I have. I believe in unlocking the potential of the young people. I believe a lot on coaching, on mentorship, on giving job shadowing opportunities to young people so they can not only develop by education, but also develop the skills that young people need so they can blend in a company like ours. So far, maybe that's the answer to your question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Halila. So yes, it's very interesting from your experience as a representative of the private sector, and also I wanted to go to the Lizette first. So Lizette, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and also about your role?
Of course. Thank you, Ari. And thank you so much. I am Lisette. It's a very true honor for me to be here with you and represent Mexico and represent to my council, youth council. I'm from SOS Villages, Mexico. And just a disclaimer, I will be looking at my phone, but I promise that it's just holding my translate notes so I can deliver this perfectly. So I want to share with you my personal journey with SOS Children Villages. And this began through their family strengthening community program. This really allowed me to understand the firsthand the harsh economic and structural barriers that families and young people with alternative care face daily in marginalized communities, which is also my case. So I decided to prepare myself with the necessary tools for the current job market. I recently graduated with a degree in the National Polytechnic Institute in Digital Business from Mexico, and I am fully ready to work and to contribute also on innovative strategies that allow youth access to decent jobs or these opportunities to create their own business and always promoting the education first. Today, I stand before you as a global delegate from the Youth Council, and I am here truly represent Mexican and global youth voices. My goal is to co-create with you actionable strategies, unlock the decent jobs, and sustainable entrepreneurship. Together, we must guarantee a safe, dignified, and stable transition to adulthood for our youth. So, thank you, Ari.
Yes, thank you so much, Lijet. But stay tuned, because I have more question about you. So yes, your experience is so amazing, and based on your experience, Lizette, what can be especially challenging for the young people when they grow up and move toward independence, and also what kind of support that do you think they need for the employability and also entrepreneurship program?
Yeah, thank you, Ari, for that question. Well, when I reflect in my own path and what I see both nationally and internationally, the road to economic independence feels like, understandably, in Mexico, public higher education and decent jobs are heavily centralized. So, in just three main cities in Mexico, for those of us living in marginalized communities, this means surviving stop burnout, long distance, high transit costs, and a severe lack of basic service of technology. In these areas, precarious job is the reality nationally. 10 of out of 15 million young people hold informal jobs. We face labor exploitation, delayed payments, and zero contracts. As youth can reports confirm, 15 of the world's working youth are trapped in the formal economy, contributing to a global need rate to 18%. Even a university degree no longer guarantees a dignified life. As thousands of postgrads remain informal, the system demands unrealistic years of experience for entry level position, and a second language that also the digital skills that public schools simply don't teach and we cannot afford. So this structural exclusion forces 49% of youth ages 16 to 21 to drop out of school due to the financial hardship or social pressures. We are forced to work and study simultaneously just to survive or to start entrepreneurship out to sheer necessity rather than an opportunity. However, in the face of these obstacles, what truly changes our lives is adequate infrastructure and multi-stakeholder support. In my own experience, what helped me cross the bridge to independence was access, the technical training in digital and soft skills, but above all, the power of corporate mentorship. So thanks to that, VHL. To dive deeper into how this impact looks across different realities, I would love to pass the floor to my Ari.
Yes. Yes. Actually, Lizette, about that, it's kind of funny because I'm listening to you and I keep noting because like it's also something that happened in Indonesia too, because this is the truth, guys. The young people in Indonesia is a half of population. It's a half of population in total in Indonesia, and it's including the young people that coming from the vulnerable family, and they still struggling to becoming independent, to getting job, to build their own businesses. But sometimes there is also young people that maybe can access a affordable gadget or like affordable internet because like it is too expensive sometimes. It's also the important thing. If young people wanted to get the decent job, they have to get the affordable infrastructure to get the distance job itself. And it's not only about the gadget, it's also they kind of struggling to get their basic need. And I think because they coming from the low income family and also coming from the marginalized group. So beside that, I think also the affordable transportation is also very important because especially when the country they have a very concentrated job in the few big city. So let me give you some example. Like some of young people that coming from the eastern Indonesia, they need to go to Jakarta to get a distant job, to get a job, and it's need like can you guess? Like it's 2,700 kilometers to going to Jakarta, and it need 2 until 3 days by ship. So I think, and also the ticket for the ship is not that cheap because they coming from the low income family and also vulnerable family, and sometimes if you wanted to get a plane, it's also so expensive. It need 1 until 2 times for minimum living cost that they have. So there is many also employability training that in there, but like it still need to pay, and also it's not that cheap for the young people that no have salary and also coming from the vulnerable family. So yes, even the program is there, the program is free. Sometimes it's didn't reach them because it's not socialized well. So on top of that, I think many young people, including those in the vulnerable family, end up with the receiving wages below minimum standard, and even worse, some internship. Maybe some of the young people here maybe have experience to getting internship also didn't get paid, and it is a reality that happening now. And I think it is not the Indonesian problem. It's not only about the Mexico problem. It's also happening around the world, around around the country. So um, what can I say? What which is that can help us actually for the young people? A healthy community, equal access for the job opportunity, mentorship, and also employability skill, and funding young people businesses maybe. And I think a real chance at the distance future is giving a distance work for the young people. So I think this is my experience and also Lizette's experience about how the young people in the Mexico, in Indonesia, and also around the world maybe facing now. But I have interesting question for Halila, because DHL support young people through mentorship and also training and first work experience, and I'm also one of the two. So why this is important, so important for the DHL?
Yeah, in DHL, we have a principle, and we believe everybody has the opportunity to unlock the full potential, right? And one way to do that is through mentorship and coaching. So what we really try to do with Aldeas SOS or SOS Children's Villages is precisely to provide that kind of support, because with all the interactions we have with Aldeas, we found that the children or the young people needed this kind of expertise when going to the market, like to prepare a CV, to talk to them and see what were the threats and the fears they have. So we provide a lot of coaching and mentorship, but it's also this is a win-win situation because we also gain a lot from you guys. We also have a challenge within the company, and it's the succession planning, the next generation. So we really need to start thinking how to bring those young people into the company. So working with you and opening our eyes on what are the challenges that people have or are facing out there is something that we really need to hear from you. And we get that precisely from this session. So that in one part. In the other part is that also Aldeas provide us with a meaningful a way to connect the volunteering of our people. We truly believe, and the purpose of DHL is very strong on supporting other people's lives and improving other people's lives. So this is a way our internal teams can connect with the villages to provide a volunteering hour. So I think it's a win-win situation, and we are looking for the same, how to provide an opportunity for young people to join our company eventually.
So Lizette, maybe you wanted to share more your experience.
I can ask Lisette, what are your perspective about young people needs? Maybe if I can hear that specifically from you guys, more than just the economic part, because we heard that, but what other needs do you feel you have and that you can share with us as a private company so we can, do better what we do right now?
Well, I need to say that the success is subjective, and also we have to ensure this minimum condition of mental health, education, and mentorship should not be. So, from my own experience and that of the Global Council, young people urgently need corporations, governments, and organizations to prioritize their strategies. Basic prevention oriented to ensure productivity and resilience from the young people. My own journey as a digital business student and entrepreneur shows exactly how these strategies should look on the ground. When a mentor from a company like DHL actively sits with me or guide or no or my career, I believe in my I have this resilience and market readiness. Also, the psychological support must be an active baseline benefit from day one to manage workforce anxiety. And when I was building my artisanal candle business, having access to seed capital incubation of my business, free local markets, and fairs was what actually allowed me to generate income without heavy project costs. When these strategies are driven by your real work expertise, we stop surviving the system and start actively scaling our self-resilience. So I can ask you, Jalila, how can we offer this kind of support to more young people, especially those who are not ready yet?
Yeah, probably my call to action will be to ask all institutions to get involved, because this is something that we cannot solve only from the private sector. We have NGOs that can give us the expertise and the access to the communities. We have the governments that can allow us to make this the scalability of the programs, and we have obviously the opportunities coming from the business. So we need to work together as one. If we work separate, it's going to be effective, but probably not as much as if we work together like in this type of forums to discuss how can we provide our expertise and how can other organizations provide theirs. But my call to action is we need to, if you're not involved, we need to get involved, and we need to hear the point of view from all the actors, because otherwise we can only provide as much as we know. That's why it's very important for me to hear from young people, and I actively participate a lot in the activities we do in the countries, because all the time I'm asking, because the needs are also evolving within time. It's not the same. Now you mentioned AI. AI is a challenge for all of us, not only for the young people. So we are incorporating those kinds of needs also on the conversations that we have, how to prepare a CV on AI, how to access AI and see that as a friend, not as an enemy. But I think the call to action basically is we cannot work only with good intentions. We really need to get involved, and everybody needs to get involved, all NGOs, governments, and we need more partnerships, definitely.
Yes, so thank you so much, guys, for listening to us. And yes, I will be hand back to Martin as a boss.
So super, thanks a lot. Give them an applause, please. Khalila, you mentioned all the keywords, not too much to transition for me anymore. So like mentioned before, we would like now to go to this roundtable discussion and discuss exactly what you said. So how can we, across different sectors, across organizations, companies, public sector, really come together and co-design something that will allow us to get closer to our ambition of solving this youth unemployment challenge. And Nilay, I would like to hand over to you, because you're gonna explain to us shortly how this is going to work.
Thanks so much, Martin. So yeah, housekeeping from my side. So for the next discussion, we want to keep things simple and practical. So in each of the tables, we will be answering one central question. What can you bring to the table? So this can include the gaps you see in youth employment, what solutions or resources your organizations, your governments are contributing, what partnerships you believe are needed, and how young people can be involved. So not only as participants, but we're here to co-create all together, and hopefully we come up with a great initiative, you can say you were in the room when this was first starting. So, and the goal is to understand what each of us can do together to scale what works, create more systemic change. And each table has a facilitator. Please raise your hands, facilitators. Yes, so, and I encourage you to branch out so you can meet more people as the goal of HLPF. So if you're with a friend, I encourage you to go to another table. And we have various Post-it notes, as big as your ideas, no pressure, but we have all sizes, so hopefully use the big ones. And those online, please don't leave, because we wish you were here, but we have a mural board for you so that you can participate and share your ideas online as well. And if you have any questions, please put them in the chat, but there should be some guidance for you there as well. I think that's it, right? So we get the discussion going. Thank you. Hello. Hello. Okay, everyone. I don't want to interrupt the conversation, but we're short on time. It seems like you guys had great discussions. So thanks so much for everyone's inputs. The purpose of this roundtable was not to reach a final conclusion. We unfortunately don't have time to go around, but we will follow up and we will collect the posters and document the ideas and prepare a short summary after the event. So that's why we got everyone's emails, and then those online, of course, we have the murals. So we will, all the inputs will help us assess where there's added energy and added value for a new or strengthened multi-stakeholder initiative, and what we should focus on, what different partners could contribute, and how young people can be involved. And we invite participants who are interested in continuing the conversation to stay engaged. You have our emails, so of course, if you come up with more ideas, please let us know. And we're now coming to the closing of the event, but we want to give the space to the most important part. So the young people, Liz and Addie, please, we want to hear some final messages from you. So over to you.
Thank you so much for sharing with us this important, things is the employability, and also the entrepreneurship creates a great future, a sustainable future for us. When we create in this future, when you believe in us, in the old youth people, we believe in also in ourselves, potentials, in all of strategies that we need to build a future plan. Also the mentorship, the all the things that you have, the sitting food, the finance, the capital, all the youth needs. You say this have for bring those opportunities, and this is very essential for us. So, Ari, what do you want to say?
Yes, thank you, Lizette. So I think that I wanted to say for all parties like government, private sector, for the young people, for the international organization, and also civil society, I think the first is invest on equal access. I think this is very important because make sure that information, distance work, fair wages, including the internship, safe working condition, and also it's actually reaching young people, including those in the vulnerable family. So I think, and also the marginalized community. It's that mean that real investment in the young people skill and also the future through mentorship, funding for the young people business, and actually training that can. And then the second one is treat young people as an equal partner. And I think this message is already echo in everywhere in the UN high level political forum. Give us the space to voicing our right, and also in every forum that decision made about our life that made. And I believe that young people are the subject of development, not the object. So that's why involving young people as a partner is necessary if you want to development that actualize. So I think that's from from us. So yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Liz and Addie. And now, thank you so much to the co-sponsors, BMZ and ILO, as SOS Children's Villages. Thanks to everybody for attending in person and online, and we will be following up to hopefully create a greater initiative for scaling up youth employability. And thank you.